promises to ourselves all day long. Oh, I promise this. I promise I'm going to get off drugs. I promise I'm all alone. I promise I'm going to leave that lady alone. I promise I'm going to leave that man alone. I promise myself I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to start me a business. All these promises that we make ourselves and we break them every time we let the enemy come in and start telling us something in our ear. Well, what do you mean that you said you're going to do that? Did God really say this? Did God really say that? We talk ourselves out of keeping a promise. God is calling us to keep our promises at all costs. David promised Jonathan. He said, I'm going to keep my covenant friendship with you. And if I can't keep it with you, I'm going to keep it with the ones that are closest to you. I'm going to keep it with your family. And he did not forget. He did not allow his status to make him forget from whence he came.
Come on.
When he finally came back and he was crowned king, the first thing he did was inquire about Saul's relatives. Is there nobody from the house of Saul that I know? Now, if y'all know anything about the story, we know that Saul sought to kill Jonathan. Saul went and formed an army and chased after poor Jonathan throughout the entire Old Testament. If you read that thing, you got David running almost the entire time from Saul. Many times Saul came very close to killing David. But David never forgot his promise. It wasn't about Saul. It was about his promise to David, to Jonathan. So when we see David ask, is there anybody that I can honor?
Anybody.
Ziba the servant comes up and he says, well, there's one, but before he even says the man's name, we don't know the name yet. Did I say the name yet? Before he even says his name, he says, but he's crippled.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with him. He has an issue. You don't want to honor this one. He might be the only one left, but you don't want to honor this one.
Come on.
My second point is, it is only with an equal intensity that promises are met. You have to keep the intensity that you had from the very beginning all the way through to the end in order to keep a promise. It is when we lose the emotional tie that we let promises by the wayside.
Come on.
We'll do it, won't we? Most of the time it's from an outside influence that has caught our eye and has made us lose the emotional bond that we started out with. They didn't want to mention poor little Mephibosheth. Even by his name, Mephibosheth. They didn't want to mention him. He's crippled. See, back in the day when you were crippled, you were unfit to be royalty. Because something was wrong with